Ji-won Kim stood in the massive chamber and felt small. She always felt small here. The council chamber was built to make humans feel that way. Alien representatives sat in rows above her, looking down like judges. 47 different species, and most of them thought humans were nothing special. She cleared her throat and began her speech. It was the same speech she had given many times before, with small changes. Earth needed permission to mine asteroids. Humans had discovered them. Humans had surveyed them. But the council said humans could not touch them without approval. High Magistrate Velnor sat at the highest point in the chamber. He was from the Keltherin species, tall and thin with skin like polished stone. His people had ruled the council for 10,000 years. He listened to Ji-won's speech with his eyes half closed, as if bored. When she finished, Velnor did not even pause to think. He simply raised one long finger and said, "Denied." That was all. One word. The other council members laughed. Some made sounds that Ji-won's translator could not process. She knew they were mocking her. Ji-won bowed her head politely. "Thank you for your consideration, High Magistrate," she said. Her voice did not shake. It never shook, no matter how angry she felt inside. She turned and walked out of the chamber with her back straight. Outside, Hiran Bak was waiting. Hiran was younger, only 32 years old. She was also a human representative on the council, but with less authority. Her face was red with anger. "How can you stay so calm?" Hiran asked. "They laugh at us. They deny everything we ask for. We have been here for 47 years and nothing changes." Ji-won placed a hand on Hiran's shoulder. "Because getting angry changes nothing," she said quietly. "We must be patient. We must show them we are civilized." "For how long?" Hiran asked. "How long do we keep being patient while they treat us like children?" Ji-won did not answer. She did not know the answer anymore. Far from the council station, Captain Min-soo Park walked through his ship. The UNS Indomitable was one of only 12 warships humans were allowed to have. It was a good ship, but small. Other species had hundreds of warships. Some had thousands. Min-soo stopped at a window and looked out at space. In the distance, he could see a council patrol ship following a human cargo vessel. The patrol ship was 3 times larger. It stayed close, watching like a predator following prey. "Captain," a voice said behind him. Min-soo turned to see Lieutenant Yuna Song. She was young but skilled. She had been trained since childhood for military service. "What is it, Lieutenant?" Min-soo asked. "That patrol ship is harassing our cargo vessel again," Yuna said. Her jaw was tight with frustration. "They are scanning them, demanding to see their cargo manifest. This is the 3rd time this week." Min-soo nodded slowly. "I know. Why do we not do something?" Yuna asked. "We have weapons." "We could tell them to back off. And then what?" Min-soo asked. He kept his voice gentle. "We are one ship. They have thousands. If we start a fight, we lose. Not just us, but all of humanity. We cannot protect Earth if we are destroyed." Yuna looked down at her feet. "I understand, sir, but it feels wrong to do nothing." "I know," Min-soo said, "but sometimes doing nothing is the smart choice. We wait, we watch, we learn, and when the time is right, we act." Yuna saluted and left. Min-soo returned his gaze to the stars. He wondered how much longer humans could keep waiting. On Earth, in a secret facility deep underground, Director Seok Lee sat in a dark room. Screens surrounded him, showing data that very few people were allowed to see. He was the head of Earth's Strategic Intelligence Agency. His job was to keep humanity safe by knowing everything about their enemies. A door opened and Dr. Hana Choi entered. She was a scientist who studied alien species. She had been analyzing council records for 2 years looking for patterns. "Director," Hana said, sitting down across from him. "I found something interesting." Seok leaned forward. "Tell me." "The council has done this before," Hana said. She pulled up files on her tablet and showed them to Seok. 23 times in the past 5,000 years, a new species joined the council. Each time, the council put restrictions on them. Trade limits, territory limits, military limits, just like with us. "And what happened to those species?" Seok asked. "Most of them stayed weak," Hana said. "They obeyed the rules. They never grew strong. But 7 species tried to break free. They demanded equality. And?" Seok asked, though he already knew the answer. "The council crushed them," Hana said. "Every single one. They used the same tactics each time. Blockades, economic pressure. Then military force if needed. The Council is very good at destroying species who challenge them. Siak was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Good, he said. Hana looked confused. Good? How is that good? Because they do the same thing every time, Siak said. That means they are predictable. And if they are predictable, we can beat them. He stood up and walked to a large screen on the wall. He pressed a button and the screen lit up with an image of space. Hundreds of dots appeared, scattered across the darkness. What am I looking at? Hana asked. Ships, Siak said. Human ships. 847 of them, to be exact. Hana's eyes went wide. But we are only allowed 12 warships. The Council allows us 12 warships, Siak corrected. They do not know about these. We have been building them in secret for 20 years. Hidden shipyards. False reports. Careful planning. That is against Council law, Hana whispered. Yes, Siak agreed. And so is destroying civilian colony ships. So is denying us basic rights. So is treating us like primitives. The Council breaks their own rules whenever it suits them. Why should we be different? Hana stared at the screen. When will we use them? When we have to, Siak said. When there is no other choice. When patience finally runs out. Back at the Council station, Jiwan sat alone in her quarters. She had a glass of water in her hand, but she was not drinking it. She was thinking about her daughter back on Earth, thinking about all the humans who trusted her to protect them. Her communication device beeped. She picked it up and saw a message marked urgent. Her hands began to shake as she read it. The UNS New Hope, a colony ship carrying 2,300 civilians, had been destroyed. The Council claimed it had violated territorial restrictions. They said it was the humans' fault. 2,300 people, families, children, all dead. The glass slipped from Jiwan's hand and shattered on the floor. For the first time in her career, she did not clean it up. She just sat there staring at nothing, feeling something break inside her that had nothing to do with glass. Patience had its limits, and humanity had just reached theirs. The funeral was held 3 days later. Every human settlement watched it on their screens. Space stations, colonies, ships. Even the people living on Earth 12 light-years away from where the New Hope had died. Captain Min-Soo Park stood at a podium. Behind him floated 2,300 photographs. The faces of the dead. Men, women, children. All of them had wanted a new life on a new world. Now they would never see anything again. Min-Soo looked at the camera. He knew the Council was watching too. They always watched human broadcasts looking for signs of rebellion. We gathered today to remember the dead, Min-Soo said. His voice was calm but cold. 2,300 souls who wanted nothing more than to build homes, to raise families, to live in peace. He paused and looked directly at the camera. The Council says they violated territorial law. The Council says it was their own fault. The Council says we should have taught them better. Another pause. Longer this time. I want to tell you about human history, Min-Soo continued. We have fought many wars. We have killed each other over land, resources, beliefs. We have made terrible mistakes. But we learned something from all that blood. We learned that patience is not the same as weakness. We learned that silence is not the same as acceptance. We learned that some things are worth fighting for even when the fight seems impossible. Min-Soo's expression did not change, but his words carried weight. The people on the New Hope understood this. They knew the risks. They went anyway because they believed in a better future. They died for that belief. We will not forget them, Min-Soo said, and we will not let their deaths mean nothing. The broadcast ended. Across human space, people sat in silence. Some cried. Some prayed. Some got angry. But all of them understood that something had changed. Jiwan watched the funeral from her quarters on the Council station. When it ended, she stood up and walked to her mirror. She looked at herself for a long time. The woman staring back at her looked tired. Older than her years, she had spent 15 years being patient. 15 years bowing and scraping. 15 years pretending that insults did not hurt. And for what? So the Council could kill humans whenever they wanted? No, enough was enough. Jiwan requested an emergency council session. To her surprise, High Magistrate Velnor agreed. He probably thought it would be entertaining to watch her beg for justice. The next day, Jiwan entered the council chamber. Hyarin walked beside her. Both women wore black, the human color of mourning. The other council members noticed but said nothing. Ambassador Kim, Belnor said from his high seat. You requested this session. Speak. Ji-Wan walked to the center of the chamber. She did not bow this time. 3 days ago, you destroyed the UNS New Hope. You killed 2,300 civilians. You claim they violated territorial law. They did violate the law, Trade Minister Quillax said. He was from the Plick species, short and round with too many eyes. The law is clear. They entered restricted space. The space they entered was empty, Ji-Wan said. Her voice was steady. No one lives there. No one uses it. You claimed it simply to limit human expansion. The law is the law, Quillax repeated. Then change the law, Ji-Wan said. She pulled out a data pad and held it up. I have evidence here. Evidence that shows the Council systematically restricts new species. Evidence that shows you have destroyed 23 civilizations over 5,000 years. Evidence of corruption, lies, and murder. The chamber erupted in noise. Some council members shouted denials. Others demanded she stop speaking. But Ji-Wan's voice cut through the chaos. I am broadcasting this session to every species in the galaxy, she said. You cannot silence me without proving I am right. Belnor raised his hand and the chamber fell silent. He looked at Ji-Wan with cold eyes. You dare accuse this council of crimes? I do not accuse, Ji-Wan said. I present facts. Dr. Hana Choi of Earth has analyzed your own records. Everything I say can be verified. A screen appeared in the chamber and Hana's face looked out at them. She sat in a laboratory back on Earth surrounded by data. She began to speak, presenting her research clearly and calmly. Names of destroyed species. Dates of attacks. Records that the council thought were hidden. Some council members looked uncomfortable. Others looked angry. But none of them could deny what Hana showed them. The evidence was too strong. When Hana finished, Ji-Wan spoke again. Humanity demands justice. We demand full council membership with equal rights. We demand the removal of all restrictions. We demand reparations for the New Hope. And we demand that the council face consequences for its crimes. Impossible, Belnor said. He laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. You are in no position to demand anything. You are weak. You are few. You have 12 ships and 1 vote that means nothing. Hiren stepped forward. Her face was red. Her hands shook. How can you laugh? She shouted. How can you sit there and laugh while children are dead? Control your junior representative, Quillax said to Ji-Wan. She is being emotional. Yes, she is emotional, Ji-Wan said quietly. Because she is human. Because we care about our dead. You should try it sometime. The council chamber filled with laughter again. They thought Hiren's anger was funny. They thought human emotion was weakness. Ji-Wan gently pulled Hiren back. It is time to go, she whispered. They turned and walked toward the exit. Ambassador, Belnor called out, do not bother requesting another session. Your demands are rejected. If humanity cannot follow our laws, perhaps we should reconsider your membership entirely. Ji-Wan stopped at the door. She looked back at Belnor. You have 72 hours, she said. 72 hours for what? Belnor asked, amused. To accept our demands, Ji-Wan said. After that, things will change. She left before Belnor could respond. Behind her, she heard the council members laughing even harder. They thought she was bluffing. They thought humans were helpless. They were about to learn differently. That night, Ji-Wan sent an encrypted message to Earth. It contained 3 words. Begin the operation. Director Seok Lee received the message in his underground facility. He smiled and turned to the men and women around him. Send the signal to all ships. Tell Captain Park to move the fleet into position. Across the galaxy, 847 ships received their orders. They had been hiding for years, waiting for this moment. Now they moved, silent and dark, toward the council station. Captain Minsu Park sat on the bridge of the Indomitable. Lieutenant Yuna Song stood beside him, watching the tactical display. Sir, she said quietly, all ships are responding. They are moving into formation. Good, Minsu said. He pressed a button on his chair and his face appeared on every human ship. All vessels, this is Captain Park. For 47 years we have waited. For 47 years we have been patient. Today we show the council that patience has limits. He paused and looked at the camera. We do not want war. We want respect. We want equality. We want justice for the New Hope. But if the council refuses, we are ready to fight. We will not go quietly into darkness. We will not let them destroy us like they destroyed others. All ships, Minsu said. Decloak in 10 seconds. Let them see what humanity has been building. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. On the council station, alarms started blaring. Admiral Threxus ran to his command center demanding to know what was happening. 3, 2, 1. 847 human warships appeared on council sensors all at once. They surrounded the station. They were armed. They were ready. And they were not asking permission anymore. Admiral Threxus stared at his tactical display. 847 contacts, all human, all armed. His claws tapped against the console as he calculated attack vectors and defensive positions. How is this possible? One of his officers asked. Humans are only permitted 12 warships. Obviously, they have been building in secret, Threxus said. His species, the Dragoth, were warriors. He understood military strategy. He also understood when an opponent was prepared. Send a message to High Magistrate Velnor. Tell him we have a situation. In the council chamber, Velnor received the news. His stone-like face showed no emotion, but inside he felt something he had not felt in centuries. Concern. Call an emergency session, he ordered. All council members immediately. Within an hour, the chamber was full. Representatives from all 47 species gathered. The screens showed images of the human fleet. Some council members looked worried. Others looked angry. This is an act of war, Trade Minister Quillax declared. We should destroy them immediately, can we? Asked a representative from the Torvan species. She was young and practical. Admiral Threxus, what is your assessment? Threxus appeared on a screen. We can defeat them, he said slowly. But the cost would be severe. Human ship design is different from ours. They do not use energy shields. Instead, they have thick armor and kinetic weapons. Our standard tactics will not work well against them. How long to mobilize our full fleet? Velnor asked. 48 hours, Threxus replied. Maybe less if we call in reserve forces. Then we wait, Velnor decided. Let them sit in space. They cannot threaten us without starting a war they will lose. But Velnor did not understand humans. They were not making threats. They were making a point. Jiwan stood in her quarters watching the human fleet on her display. She felt pride. After so many years of humiliation, humanity was finally showing its strength. Her communication device beeped. It was a message from Minsu. Ambassador, we are in position. What are your orders? Hold position, Jiwan replied. Do not fire unless fired upon. We are not the aggressors here. Understood, Minsu said. The fleet will wait. Jiwan then sent messages to other species. Not to the council leaders, but to smaller species. The ones who had also suffered under council restrictions. The ones who had been too afraid to speak up. Her message was simple. Humanity had exposed council corruption. The evidence was public now. Every species in the galaxy had seen it. The question was, would they stand with humanity, or would they let the council continue its tyranny? Responses came slowly at first. Then faster. Representatives from 17 species sent private messages supporting human demands. They could not do so publicly yet, but they were watching. Waiting. On the Indomitable, Minsu walked through his ship. His crew was at battle stations, but they were calm. Trained. Ready. Lieutenant Unisong approached him. Captain, I am receiving strange communications from the council fleet. What kind of communications? Minsu asked. Private channel encrypted from Admiral Threxus himself. Una looked confused. He wants to speak with you directly. Minsu raised an eyebrow. Put him through. Threxus's face appeared on the screen. He was large, covered in scales, with eyes that showed intelligence and caution. Captain Park, he said. I am contacting you against orders. Why? Minsu asked. Because I am a soldier, Threxus said. I understand strategy. I understand your formation. I understand your weapons. You are not here to start a war. You are here to force negotiations. That is correct, Minsu admitted. Then let me give you advice, Threxus said. The council will try to wait you out. They think you will make a mistake. They think you will fire first and give them an excuse to destroy you. We will not fire first, Minsu said. I believe you, Threxus said. But not everyone on the council thinks like me. Trade Minister Quillax, for example. He has a private fleet. Mercenaries. They do not follow council rules. Minsu understood immediately. You think he will attack us anyway? I think he is desperate, Threxy said. Your ambassador exposed corruption. Quilax has lost face. He may do something stupid to restore his reputation. Thank you for the warning, Minsu said. Threxus nodded. We may be enemies today, Captain. But I respect warriors, and you are clearly a warrior. I would prefer not to kill you if we can avoid it. The communication ended. Minsu turned to Yuna. Increase sensor range. Watch for any ships approaching from unusual vectors. If Quilax attacks, I want to see it coming. Back on Earth, engineer Daehyun Ko sat in his laboratory. He was watching the fleet movements on multiple screens. His weapons were aboard those ships. Weapons the Council had never seen before. Humans had spent decades studying Council technology. They knew how energy shields worked. They knew their weaknesses. And Daehyun had designed weapons specifically to exploit those weaknesses. His assistant entered the lab. Sir, we are receiving requests from several human ships. They want to know if the weapons will really work. They will work, Daehyun said confidently. Council shields stop energy weapons, but they are weak against solid projectiles moving at high velocity. Our railguns will punch through their shields like paper. Let us hope we do not have to prove it, his assistant said. Yes, Daehyun agreed. Let us hope. 36 hours into the standoff, Quilax made his move. His private fleet, 23 mercenary ships, appeared near a human supply convoy. The convoy was unarmed. Easy prey, on the indomitable, alarms blared. Yuna ran to Minsu. Captain, Quilax's fleet is attacking Convoy 7. They are firing on civilian ships. Minsu's face went cold. How long to reach them? 3 minutes at maximum speed, Yuna said. All ships, Minsu ordered. Battle formation. Protect the convoy. This is not a drill. The human fleet moved like a single creature. 847 ships changed course and accelerated. They reached the convoy in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Quilax's mercenaries had destroyed one human cargo ship and damaged another. They were lining up for a third attack when the human warships arrived. This is Captain Minsu Park of the UNS Indomitable, Minsu broadcast. You have attacked civilian vessels. Stand down immediately or we will respond with force. The mercenary commander laughed. You are outnumbered, human. We have council authorization. Leave now or join your cargo ships. Minsu looked at Yuna. She nodded. Target all enemy ships, Minsu ordered. Weapons free. The battle lasted 47 seconds. Human railguns fired solid projectiles at incredible speed. The mercenary shields flickered and failed. Hull breaches appeared across their fleet. Systems overloaded. When the firing stopped, all 23 mercenary ships were drifting hulks. Their crews were dead or dying. Not a single human ship had been damaged. Across the galaxy, every species watched the battle recording. They had seen Council forces lose before, but never this quickly, never this completely. Minsu broadcast a message to the Council station. This was self-defense. Your trade minister ordered an attack on civilians. We responded appropriately. We do not want war, but we will not be victims. The 72 hours are not over yet. You still have time to negotiate. In the council chamber, Velner stood slowly. For the first time in his long life, he realized he had made a terrible mistake. Humanity was not weak. They were not primitive. They had been patient because they were preparing. And now that preparation was complete. The question was no longer whether the council could defeat humanity. The question was whether the council could survive trying. The council chamber was in chaos. Representatives shouted at each other in dozens of languages. Some demanded immediate military action against humanity. Others called for negotiations. A few quietly began planning their own survival if the council collapsed. High Magistrate Velnor tried to restore order, but his authority was crumbling. For 10,000 years, his species had ruled through fear and tradition. Now both were failing. Silence, Velnor commanded. The chamber quieted slightly. We must vote on military action. Admiral Threxus has mobilized the full council fleet. We can crush the human rebellion in days. A representative from the Torvan species stood up. She was young and had only been on the council for 5 years. I vote against military action, she said clearly. Velnor stared at her. Explain yourself. The humans showed us evidence of council corruption, she said. 23 species destroyed over 5,000 years. My own species nearly became number 24. We remember the restrictions you placed on us. The threats, the pressure to obey. Other representatives nodded. One by one, Species that had suffered under council control began speaking up. The Marvik, the Quailoth, the Hirani, all of them had stories of oppression. "This is irrelevant," Trade Minister Quillax shouted. "The humans broke the law. They built illegal warships. They attacked council forces." "Your forces," the Torvan representative corrected. "Your private mercenaries attacked a civilian convoy. The humans defended themselves." "That is not the same thing." The chamber erupted again. Velnor called for a vote. The results shocked him. 23 species voted against military action. 17 abstained. Only 7 voted in favor, and most of those were species that directly benefited from the current system. The vote failed. The council could not authorize war against humanity. Velnor sat down heavily. His stone-like face showed nothing, but inside he knew his time was ending. The council would never be the same. Ji-1 received the news in her quarters. The vote had failed. The council could not agree on military action, which meant they would have to negotiate. She immediately contacted representatives from the 23 species who voted against war. One by one, she met with them privately. She listened to their grievances. She shared human experiences. She built alliances. By the end of the day, she had formed a coalition. These species would support human demands for reform. In exchange, humans would support their demands too. They would work together to change the council from within. Dr. Hana Choi arrived at the council station to help. She brought more evidence, more records, more proof of council crimes. She met with representatives and showed them what she had found about their own species. The council kept records of everything, Hana explained to a group of younger representatives. They documented their own corruption. They thought no one would ever challenge them. They thought they were untouchable. "Why did you share this with us?" one representative asked. "You could have kept it secret. Used it as leverage." "Because this is not about human power," Hana said. "This is about justice, about making the council what it should be, a place where all species are equal, where no one lives in fear." The representatives listened, and they believed her. In space, Captain Minsu Park maintained his position. The human fleet stayed ready but did not move aggressively. They had proven their strength. Now they showed their discipline. Admiral Threxus contacted him again on the private channel. "Captain Park," he said, "the council vote failed. They cannot authorize war against you." "I heard," Minsu replied. "I want you to know something," Threxus continued. "If the vote had passed, I would have followed orders. I am a soldier, but I'm glad it did not pass. Your species impressed me. You fight well. You think tactically. You show mercy when you could show cruelty." "Thank you, Admiral," Minsu said. "Your species impresses me, too. You are honorable. I hope we can be allies someday instead of enemies." "Perhaps," Threxus said. "The galaxy is changing. Old ways are dying. New ways must take their place." On the bridge of the Indomitable, Lieutenant Yuna Song watched the council fleet on her sensors. They were pulling back slightly. Not retreating, but not advancing either. Awaiting position. "Captain," she said, "do you think this will really work?" "Can we change the council without a war?" Minsu thought for a moment. "War is easy," he said. "Any fool can start a war. Making peace? That is hard. That requires patience, wisdom, and courage. Ambassador Kim has all 3. But we were ready to fight," Yuna said. "Yes," Minsu agreed. "Because sometimes you must show strength before anyone will listen to your words. The council ignored us when we were weak. They laughed at our patience. But now they see our fleet. And suddenly, they want to talk." Back on Earth, Director Siak Lee watched everything unfold from his underground facility. His agents were sending him constant updates. The coalition was growing. Public opinion across the galaxy was shifting in humanity's favor. His assistant entered the room. "Director, we have a problem. Trade Minister Quillax is trying to flee. He knows he will face trial for ordering the attack on the convoy." Siak smiled coldly. "Let him try. I have agents at every port, every station, every way off the council headquarters. He is not going anywhere." 3 hours later, Quillax was arrested by council security. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Video recordings, communication logs, financial records showing payment to the mercenaries. His arrest sent shockwaves through the council. If Quillax could fall, anyone could fall. Suddenly, the corrupt officials began scrambling to cover their tracks, but it was too late. The evidence was already public. Hana had made sure of that. With only 12 hours left in the 72-hour deadline, Velnor finally requested a meeting with Jiwan. Not in the council chamber. Not with witnesses. A private meeting between two leaders. They met in a neutral room. No guards, no recording devices, just two people who understood that the galaxy was at a turning point. Ambassador Kim, Velnor said. His voice was different now, tired. You have won. No one has won yet, Jiwan replied. But we can both avoid losing. The question is whether you are willing to change. My species has ruled for 10,000 years, Velnor said. And you can continue to be part of the council, Jiwan said. But not as masters, as equals. That is what we want. Equality. Velnor was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. What are your terms? Jiwan handed him a document. Full council membership for humanity. Removal of all restrictions. Reparations for the New Hope. Investigation into council corruption. Term limits for leadership positions. And a new charter guaranteeing rights for all species. Velnor read the document carefully. This will end the old ways, he said. Yes, Jiwan agreed. But it will create something better. A council that actually serves its members instead of ruling over them. Velnor looked at her with his ancient eyes. You could have destroyed us. Your fleet could have attacked. You would have lost, but you would have taken many of us with you. Yet you chose negotiation. We are not barbarians, Jiwan said quietly. We just wanted you to see that. To respect us. To treat us as equals. Velnor nodded slowly. I will support your terms. I will convince the others. But I will need time. You have 12 hours, Jiwan said. Use them wisely. She stood to leave. At the door, she paused and looked back. High Magistrate, this did not have to happen this way. We tried for 47 years to work within your system. You forced us to break it. Remember that? Velnor watched her leave. For the first time in his long life, he felt something like respect for a species he had considered primitive. The humans had taught the galaxy a valuable lesson. Patience was not weakness. It was simply a different kind of strength. The treaty was signed 11 hours and 43 minutes after Jiwan's meeting with Velnor. The entire galaxy watched as representatives from 47 species put their marks on the document. The treaty changed everything. Humanity received full council membership with equal voting rights. All restrictions on human expansion were removed. The families of those who died on the New Hope would receive compensation. And most importantly, the council itself would be reformed. Term limits were established. No species could hold the position of High Magistrate for more than 20 years. An independent oversight committee would investigate corruption. Smaller species would have guaranteed representation. Velnor signed the treaty himself. His hand shook slightly as he did so. 10,000 years of Keltheran dominance were ending. But as he looked around the chamber, he saw hope on faces that had only shown fear before. When Jiwan signed for humanity, the chamber erupted in applause. Not just from human allies, but from species across the galaxy. They understood what this meant. Change was possible. Justice was possible. After the signing, Jiwan returned to her quarters. She sat down and finally allowed herself to feel tired. Hyarin entered and sat beside her. We did it, Hyarin said softly. We survived, Jiwan corrected. Now comes the hard part. Building something better. Do you think it will work? Hyarin asked. Do you think the council will really change? Jiwan was quiet for a moment. It will not be easy. There will be resistance. Old habits die hard. But yes, I think it will work. Because now the whole galaxy is watching. They will hold the council accountable. In space, Captain Minsu Park ordered the human fleet to stand down. The ships began their journey back to human territory. They had come prepared for war but left with peace. Lieutenant Yuna Song approached him on the bridge. Captain Admiral Threxus is requesting permission to speak with you. Minsu smiled slightly. Put him through. Threxus appeared on the screen. Behind him, Minsu could see the council fleet also standing down. Captain Park, Threxus said, I am contacting you with an official request. What kind of request? Minsu asked. The council is creating a new integrated defense force, Threxus explained. Ships from multiple species working together. We need human tactical knowledge. We need officers who understand your methods. Would you be willing to send some of your people to help train us? Minsu looked at Yuna. She nodded eagerly. Admiral, Minsu said. It would be an honor. Lieutenant Song here would be excellent for that assignment. Excellent, Threxus said. Perhaps someday our species will fight together instead of against each other. I hope so, Admiral, Minsu replied. I truly hope so. On Earth, Dr. Hana Choi stood before a gathering of scientists from 17 different species. She was establishing the Institute for Interspecies Understanding, an organization dedicated to cultural exchange and education. We almost went to war, Hana told the assembled scientists. We almost destroyed each other. Why? Because we did not understand each other. Because we saw differences as threats instead of as gifts. She gestured to the diverse group before her. This institute will change that. We will study each other's cultures. We will learn each other's languages. We will teach our children that diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. One of the alien scientists raised a question. Dr. Choi, why did humans choose to share your research? You could have kept it secret. Used it as power, Hana smiled. Because knowledge is not meant to be hoarded. It is meant to be shared. That is how we all grow. That is how we all become better. Director Seok Lee remained on Earth, but his role changed. Instead of gathering intelligence for conflict, he now coordinated information sharing between species. The spy became a diplomat. He sat in his office reviewing reports from across the galaxy. Most were positive. The reforms were working. Species were cooperating. Trade was increasing. His assistant entered. Director, you have a visitor. High Magistrate Velnor. Seok raised an eyebrow. Velnor had resigned his position after the treaty, as required by the new term limits. What did he want now? Velnor entered the office. He looked older somehow, less imposing. Director Lee, he said. Thank you for seeing me. What can I do for you? Seok asked. I wanted to apologize, Velnor said simply. For 47 years I treated your species as inferior. I mocked your requests. I denied your petitions. I was wrong. Seok studied him carefully. Why tell me this? Because someone should know, Velnor said. And because I am trying to learn humility. It is difficult after 10,000 years of pride. Seok nodded slowly. Apology accepted, High Magistrate. Or should I say former High Magistrate? Just Velnor now, he said with something that might have been a smile. I am retired, traveling, learning about species I once oppressed. It is enlightening. Engineer Daehyun Ko transformed his weapons laboratory into a technology sharing center. Other species sent their engineers to learn from him. He taught them not just about weapons, but about innovation and problem solving. The trick, he told a group of young alien engineers, is to see limitations as puzzles. The council said we could not have certain technologies, so we invented new technologies they never thought of. Necessity drives innovation. 1 year after the treaty, a memorial was completed on Earth. It honored the 2,300 people who died on the New Hope. Their names were carved in stone, along with a simple message. They died so humanity could live free. Jiwon attended the dedication ceremony. She was now the first human Secretary General of the Reformed Council. She stood before the memorial and spoke to the gathered crowd. These people did not die in vain, she said. Their deaths forced us to act, to stand up, to demand change. Because of them, the galaxy is different now. Because of them, other species will not face the same oppression we faced. She paused and looked at the names on the wall. We remember them. We honor them. And we promise them that we will never return to silence and submission. Humanity has found its voice, and we will use it to speak for all who cannot speak for themselves. 5 years after the crisis, the galaxy was unrecognizable. Human colonies spread across dozens of systems. Trade flourished. Cultural exchange programs connected species that had never interacted before. The council operated transparently now, with regular reports and public accountability. Corruption was punished swiftly. Smaller species had real voices in decision-making. On a joint colony world, human and alien children played together. They learned each other's languages naturally. They formed friendships without prejudice. They were the future. Jiwon visited that colony during an inspection tour. She watched the children playing and felt hope. This was what they had fought for. Not dominance, not revenge, just the chance to live as equals. Hyerin, now a senior council member herself, stood beside Jiwon. Do you remember that day in the council chamber? She asked. When I lost my temper? When they laughed at me? I remember, Jiwon said. I was so angry, Heron continued. So frustrated. I thought I had failed. But now I understand. Sometimes anger is appropriate. Sometimes emotion is strength, not weakness. Yes, Jiwon agreed. We spent so long trying to be calm, trying to be diplomatic. But there comes a time when calm is not enough, when you must show passion, when you must fight for what is right. She looked at Heron and smiled. That day in the chamber, the day we lost our calm, that was the day everything changed. That was the day the council learned that humanity would not accept injustice anymore. They stood together, watching the children play. Human children, alien children, all of them laughing, all of them free. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Patience was valuable. Diplomacy was important. But sometimes the greatest act of civilization was refusing to accept oppression. Humanity had been patient for 47 years. When patience failed, they showed strength. When strength was sufficient, they chose mercy. And when given the chance to rebuild, they chose justice over revenge. That was the real victory. Not military triumph, not political dominance, but the choice to make the galaxy better for everyone, not just for themselves. The day humanity lost its calm before the council was the day the galaxy began to heal.